Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. It's been a while since we played a little bit of Call of Cthulhu, but that's what brings us together here tonight for a session of Call of Cthulhu by Chaosium. Now what we're going to do here is we're actually going to continue the adventure that we started a while back as we're going through the Darkness Beneath the Hills out of the Doors to Darkness book, 5 Scenarios for Beginning Keepers. I'm what's known as a keeper player, and what we're going to do here is we're going to use Mythic Game Master Emulator, the center of which is this fate chart, where we can use this to interact with our scenario in the form of yes or no questions. And I've got my pen right here so I can make some notes on everything we go through here. So we are all set for scene 3. We should be on a chaos factor of 7. So let's jump into the scene and see what we've got going on here. So now scenario 3, we actually need our character. We've got Silas Miller, our private investigator, who's been keeping track of everything, and I need to get the dials for this. So fortunately, the dials are right back over here. And actually, I need a pencil as well, so bear with me while I go grab my pencil as well. If a video is pre-planned, I'm usually a lot more prepared than this. Some of these last-minute videos, though, especially anything in the evening, is usually fly by the seat of my pants. So I've got 2 videos per day planned. Well, per day with exceptions planned out. So the dials we're going to need, first we need a dial for sanity, which currently is at 48. So we'll use this X-Men dial for that. Then I've got a whole bunch of Marvel Champions dials. One we'll use for hit points. This one will be at 13. Then we need magic points. That will be set to 10. Luck, which we can spend to manipulate dice rolls. That will be set to 60. And I think that is everything we need for the time being. Sure seems like it. Bring the dice out of the way. And we'll jump into this. So the scene we're looking at here, so the scene we're envisioning for scene 3 is exploring the tunnel, because the last time we got together, we started to explore, here we go, we started to explore this tunnel that our friend Josh, what's his name? Josh Winscott had found under his house. And the tunnel, as we were starting to explore it, collapsed, and we saw some human remains as we were heading in. But we also found a Turkish cigarette, which we recognized as being the same brand that Josh smokes. So we immediately retreated from the tunnel to try to get some sleep and come at it with fresh eyes, and that's what we're doing now. So now we're heading deeper in, but before we do that, we need to roll against the chaos factor to see if the scene gets interrupted. Fortunately, I've got my binder for Mythic over here, so I can remind myself how interacting with the chaos factor with the fate chart works. Oh, that's right. I need to get a new binder for this. I forget this binder ended up stuck on me. Must have taken a fall or something. Anyway, let's see. Just reminding myself here how I want to roll this. Evaluate how out of control the scene was. So it starts at 5 and is modified. Okay, so we set the scene here. Basically what we're doing here is now we want to go a little bit further into the tunnel. So we've found these human remains. We've found a cigarette holder from Josh. So now we're going to, so now I'm envisioning basically exploring the tunnel to see what we find out. So let's roll against the chaos factor to see what happens with the scene. So if we roll, the scene begins just as expected. If we're higher, that is a 3. So the scene's going to be modified in some way, which in this case, we're going to be going into an altered scene. The question is how? Okay. So yeah, we're going to have an altered scene of some kind. So I guess the question now is, how do we alter this scene? So we're exploring. So what we find so far, and maybe it's not modified, maybe it's not being an altered scene yet. So I think what we're going to do at the start of this scene, so we're starting with an altered scene. The question is, how? So we're probably going to be venturing, so we're definitely venturing down further from where we found the, where we found the cigarette holder. So we're sloping, so we're going to be starting by going down the opening further into a passage that slopes down. So Silas is going to have a little bit of trouble with, is maybe going to have a little bit of trouble with his footing. So let's roll a, let's see, what kind of check would that be? Probably a, that seems like it would be a dex check to see if he manages to hold his balance. So maybe he hits something a little bit funny as he's sloping down. So let's roll an agility check. We want to be at or below the agility value as on a D100 system. That's a 14. He's got no problems with that. Dex check. That's it. That's enough for a hard success. So yeah, he stumbles a little bit, but he recovers his footing quickly. Stumbles a bit, but recovers. All right, so as we slope down and we realize that the corridor that we're going down is going to go through a lot of twists and turns as we're going down it. But when we get to about, so as we're walking maybe about a half a mile, seems like we're definitely getting further underground. We come across a bend to see a steady dim light. And as we've been twisting and turning through this passage, it actually is going to start to straighten out on us a little bit here. The light ahead is going to start getting brighter, so we'll actually be able to see where we're going, but we don't know where it's coming from. And now as we're stepping in, we open into an enormous chamber that seems to be lit by phosphorescent lichen of some kind. So maybe here we roll for if we encounter something. So let's put that to Mythic. As do we see anything down here? So we're on cast rank of 7 right now. We're asking a yes or no question, and I'm going to take a 50-50 odd on that. Do we see anything as we're down here? Let's see, that's a 22, which, yes, we see something. So what do we see? So what we see so far as we pop in is the hall that we've stepped into. See, we have light that's been emitted by lichen that we're establishing, that's been cultivated by something, and as we look around, we realize that we're looking at, it almost seems snake-like, but humanoid in a way. It's a little bit weird to Silas as he's looking at this. So as we're going through here, They're dimly lit as if they're filled with candles, but the investigators don't need to rely on their own light sources. He's still got his flashlight, though, that he can use, which I think he actually went and got a flashlight. Yep. Okay, so he's got his flashlight that's active. He's kind of using that to poke in for fine details. So we're kind of exploring the caves here. So Silas, I think, is a little bit hesitant here as he's wondering what he's stepping into. But so he's thinking about maybe running away a little bit, but he's going to roll an intelligence check here as he's kind of trying to remember something. He's been blinded by fear. So actually, maybe that's a... So let's make a will check first to see if he does anything. A will check to resist the fear to run away. And Silas's will here, actually, there is no will, so there's no willpower, so maybe... I don't even know what would be similar to that. Maybe a power check? I know what I'm going for here. I know I want to have some kind of... He's gotten scared and he's thinking about running away. So let me look in the Keeper's rulebook, the Keeper rulebook, and see what I think of that best idea. So force of will, actually, yeah, power check is going to be perfect for that. So that'll be a POW check. His power is a 50.